What is going on, everybody? Super excited to have every single one of you here. Very, very excited. And I know you guys are all going to be trickling in here, but very excited to go over this incredible opportunity to learn how to predictably generate 10K a month in 90 days or less without owning real estate. So the way this is going to work, ladies and gents, is in a few minutes here, I'm first going to share a video that kind of talks about my life story more as an introduction. And then in about 15 minutes at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on the dot, I'm going to go ahead and get started with my presentation. So here in the next few minutes, we're actually going to be sending out the link. So if anybody's watching this on the replay and you're wondering like, hey, why hasn't it started? We needed to start a few minutes before, about 15 minutes before, because we actually don't have a link to send out until we start the actual YouTube live. So that is so. But very excited again to have every single one of you here. Let me just grab the link. Give me a few minutes here and we shall get the ball rolling. Let's see here. Right, let me know if that works. And I'm gonna go for about 60 minutes of just sharing valuable, actionable content. And then the last 30 minutes, so 60 minutes of content and 30 minutes of Q&A, where I'm gonna be, my assistant, who's gonna be Edgar today, is actually gonna be answering a lot of your questions during the presentation in the chat. But then towards the end, after I finish the 60 minutes of content, I'm going to be answering as many of your questions as possible. You'll be able to type your questions and then I'll be able to answer them. So just waiting here a few more minutes and we shall get the ball rolling. But if you guys are here already, please let me know, where are you guys located? Let me know in the comments down below. And it's always good to know where you guys are tuning in from. And then additionally, let me know which strategy, if you're already familiar with Airbnb, which strategy are you looking to start your business with? Or maybe you are already a successful Airbnb host and you're looking to take it from 6 figures to 7 figures, or from 6 figures to multiple 6 figures, or maybe you have a good business, but you want to learn how to automate it. That's great too, because we want to be able to work on the business and not in the business. So again, let me know in the comments down below here on YouTube, which strategy are you looking to get started with? Super, super excited. And later on, I'm going to share a little bit more about my story, but just to kind of, cover a few more minutes here before I share my video, I actually started with properties that I already owned. And that was powerful, right? Because I started with the low-hanging fruit. It was just the opportunity that I had in that very moment. And then I discovered that the subleasing strategy, right? Not having to buy properties, no down payments, no closing costs. And that allowed me to really scale and grow fast because of all those reasons. And I was able to accelerate my cash flow. Typically, if you could buy one property, say with 50,000, you could sublease 3 to 4 properties with that same amount of money and be able to generate, 3 to 4x the cash flow. And therefore being able to accelerate your way to replacing your 9-to-5 income. So subleasing, that's why it's been such a powerful strategy. But again, that's really what allowed me to grow and scale my business. So then I took all the capital that I was able to grow from subleasing and I went and started buying a ton of real estate. And now I own a $7 million real estate portfolio. Again, just on the ownership side, we own $7 million worth of real estate. And of course, we still have all of our subleases. We renewed every single, sublease that we have. So very, very excited to have every single one of you here. So in about 2 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and start with this video. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And we should get the ball on the road here. Again, if you're just joining, let me know, where are you located? Let me know in the chats. And which strategy are you looking to get started with? Are you looking to start with subleasing, with purchasing, the co-hosting model? Let me know. We're starting here in about 1 minute to be exact. Perfect, perfect. Awesome. Love it, love it. Alrighty. Again, if you are just tuning in, let me know, where are you located? What city, what states, and which strategy are you looking to start your business with? Are you looking to start with subleasing, purchasing, co-hosting? Let me know. And again, right now I am about to play about a 7-minute video that goes over my life story and journey and why it is that I do what I do today. And then right after that, at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, on the dot, we're going to get started with the presentation and hit the ground running. Thank you guys for tuning in. You decided to be here on a Tuesday evening. And for those of you watching this on the replay, you decided to click on this video and potentially change your life, help you create time, location, and financial freedom with Airbnbs without owning real estate. So that way you could utilize that strategy and then take it to the ownership strategies down the line. All right, so here we go. So one of my earliest memories is when I was 7 years old and I used to sell drugs with my dad. We lived in this little small apartment. There was constant break-ins from people that knew that he had money from selling drugs. And I used to think that all kids sold drugs. It was just like the fish doesn't know that it's in the water. When I was 7, the doctor told my dad if he wanted to see his youngest son, Jorgito, grow up, he needed to stop drinking. He was pretty much an alcoholic his entire life. And so he did stop drinking, but the damage was too much and too far. So when I was 12, he passed away from alcohol. And then my mom abandoned me when I was 13. So from 12 to 16, I started living with my mom's friend, Estela. At 16, she said, hey, taking care of you enough. Now you got to look after yourself. One of my biggest drivers is that when my dad passed away, I felt like I was in a state of survival. Like I need to provide for myself. Like I need to survive. I need to figure out how to take care of myself because no one is going to take care of me. So while at community college, I joined the salsa team. And my salsa partner introduced me to bachata. She showed me a little basic step, 1, 2, 3, tap, 1, 2, 3, tap. And she's like, yeah, you got to check out this CD, just came out. It's called Aventura. I just listened to the whole CD all in one day and I just fell in love with the music. And so I started watching the few YouTube videos that there were in 2007, started practicing every day. 3 months later, I sent a mass text to a bunch of my friends from my BlackBerry phone. And I said, hey guys, I'm going to start teaching bachata at my friend Yaneli's backyard. So it's like a brick wall and I had my little CD and little stereo. And I started teaching bachata and it was like for free. One of my friends showed up and then like 3 people showed up and then 5 people. And so I started charging $5 and $7. Then I started teaching at a dance studio. Then I met my dance partner, Leslie. And together we started the very first bachata dance company in the US. We started the first bachata dance festival in Los Angeles. And then I started the first bachata nightclub in the US. And for 8 years, I lived and breathed dance, got to travel to over 25 countries, teaching, performing, training other instructors how to teach bachata. And that was just a great chapter of my life. The problem that I saw with the dance business is that I built a business around me and I felt stuck because the business only generated income when I was trading time for money. Yeah, I was making over 200K. I had a high income, but I had no assets to show for my income. And so I realized that if I stopped making that money, I wouldn't be able to take care of myself or my loved ones. I needed to do something different. And that's when my wife and I started taking personal development courses, real estate investing courses, became a student at the Rich Dad Company. So I got my mentor at Rich Dad. Prior to that, I had this idea of paying off my first home, right? I thought that all debt was bad. And so when I started working with her, she helped me realize that the way to create financial freedom was to actually tap into the existing equity from that first property I had purchased and then leverage that to go and buy more. And so that's what I did. And so I had long-term tenants in my properties at the beginning. But then I learned that there was a bigger opportunity. One of my dance students introduced me to Airbnb in 2016. And she mentioned she was making 3 times more with Airbnb on each of her units that she was making with long-term tenants. And so when I started doing the math for my properties, it just made so much sense. So when I had the long-term properties, I was making about $6,000 a month with all 4 units, which is about $1,500 each. Once I launched them on Airbnb, they started making more than double. So each one went from $1,500 to about $3,500 a month. So that took me from $6K to $14,000 all in the matter of like 3 months. It was my goal to then be able to retire my wife from her 9 to 5, and that's when we launched. So 7 subleases, added an additional 6 figures. Now we're making over 200K in passive income without literally ever visiting these properties in person, because we automated all the operations in the business. And I was able to really work on the business and not in the business. In 2017, we became financially free. And in 2018, we became millionaires by net worth, right? So if we sold everything we owned, all of our assets, we would have over $1 million cash. So I get home one day after kind of looking at all of our assets and bank accounts, and I'm like, holy moly, we're millionaires. This is crazy, right? And so I get home and I tell my wife, I was like, hey babe, like, we're millionaires. It's like, let's go eat, let's go celebrate to our favorite restaurant. I was on this high. I was so excited, so happy, joyful, jumping up and down that we're millionaires at 30. And then 3 days later, I just felt empty. I just felt like, why don't I feel like $1 million anymore? There was like this sense of like emptiness and a lack of meaning. I just felt like this calling, like, go and help other people. Share what you've learned in all these years. And really that's what keeps me feeling like $1 million every day, is seeing my students become financially free, quitting their job or going from full-time to part-time, being able to spend more time with their kids, their family, seeing them travel the world. That's how the Rio system was born. You know, growing up, I always felt like entrepreneurship wasn't an option in school. And so now my goal and my vision for the world is to make that an option. And it really starts at home, because we can teach this to our kids. My mother, who wasn't able to provide a home for me, like I was able to provide a home for her. And I got her home in the area that she wanted, next to family. And she never has to worry about a mortgage payment. You know, it's all taken care of. I retired my wife. And now essentially we're stay-at-home parents. We travel like every 2 months now to a different part of the world. And I've helped over 2,000 people begin this journey of, you know, starting their Airbnb business so they too can create financial freedom. And, you know, I really want people to understand that entrepreneurship, like, it's an option. And I want to show people a proper way that they can, you know, start a business that can work even when they are not, so they can create that time freedom for them and their families. So Tony Gaskins once said, if you don't build your dream, someone's going to hire you to build theirs. And I believe that most people today, out of wanting to find safety and security, are really building someone else's dream, building someone else's last name. And it was never theirs because they can't pass it on to their loved ones. And so I believe that building a business and having the right system and team in place, so that way it's a passive income, right? It's something that one day they can pass on to their family as part of their legacy. And I want that for you, and I want that for others. All right. 1 second here, guys. There we go. All right, guys. So that was a little introduction to kind of share a little bit about my background. I think it's really important to touch on those things, to talk about the challenges, the obstacles, the journey, because the reality is when you go to YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, a lot of times you sort of see like the end result. You see the outcome, you see the success, you see people, you know, traveling, living in the big houses, you know, having the family of their dreams, created, you know, financial freedom, all this financial success. But a lot of times it makes it feel like you cannot relate to them because you don't know their story, the background, the challenges, the obstacles that actually molded them into these successful entrepreneurs. Like Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins once said, right? Success is not something you pursue. It's not something that you chase. It's something you attract by who you become. Again, let me say that again. Success is not something you chase or pursue. It is something you attract by who you become. And I know that a lot of you watching this live or watching this, on the replay, you could probably relate to my story in, in one sense or another. Maybe not to the extent, maybe worse, but in one way or another, you can relate to my challenges. And I feel that when people, they see, what I experienced and how I turn all these things as fuel to motivate me for success. Again, I feel that it makes it even more and more inspiring than just seeing the final outcome. So in case you're wondering, you're like, hey, I came to learn about Airbnb and I'm learning about this guy's background and story. But again, so that's a little bit about my story. Again, my name is Jorge Contreras, founder and creator of the Real System. If you're wondering what REAL is, it is an acronym for revenue, education, action, legal, the 4 pillars to creating time, location, and financial freedom by starting an Airbnb without owning real estate. So let's continue here. And again, I'm very excited that you're here. The truth is that with everything going on in life, you decided to be here and invest in yourself. And there's a lot going on in the world today, a lot to be concerned about, in fact, from the economy, inflation. But there's one thing that's for sure, right, is that no matter what's going on wrong in the world, you still need a predictable way to achieve financial stability, especially in these difficult times, so that you can ensure that you can take care of yourself and take care of your loved ones. My students and I use the Real System, which I'll talk a little bit more later, and our goal is to get every student to a minimum of $10K a month with Airbnb without owning real estate. And in fact, we actually just hit over 3,000 plus students in the Real System who are using Airbnb automation to hit those 10K months consistently in order to become financially free. Again, just to kind of recap, I became financially free at 29. What does financial freedom mean? It is when your passive income, the money you make in your sleep, meets or exceeds your monthly living expenses. And I was able to accomplish that at 29 through Airbnb. And then I became a millionaire at the young age of 30. I'm 34 now. And currently I'm doing over $1 million a year from my Airbnb business. I'll show some screenshots and go into my Airbnb account a little bit later today. As of right now, I've coached over 3,000 students to begin their Airbnb empires to get them to 10K a month consistently. And I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 15 years, and I've created multiple $1 million businesses in those 15 years. Also, guys, if you're not following me on Instagram, I post content every single day. So guys, click or go ahead and scan the little image on the right now. Take out your phone. Let's do it together and scan the little barcode, and it'll take you to my Instagram page. So that way you guys can follow me if you aren't yet. And again, I post content every single day about starting an Airbnb empire. So let's continue here. What are we going to cover in today's training? Okay. Well, you're going to learn the 3 major things you need to help you get to 10K a month, right? The 3 strategies my 3,000 students and I use to launch Airbnbs. We're also going to talk about the 5 biggest reasons why most new Airbnb hosts fail and how to avoid those mistakes. We're going to talk about how to launch the right type of Airbnbs in order to maximize your profits. Plus, we will cover action steps, right? The number one thing you can do today to start building your 10K a month business, the exact steps to grow and take your business to the next level by truly automating it so that you can work on the business, not in the business. And then finally, we're going to be doing some Q&A. All of the questions are going to be answered in the comments, okay? And I have my assistant Edgar who's going to be answering the questions just because I won't be able to actually see the questions here. But again, feel free to type any questions and my assistant Edgar is going to be answering the questions as you type them. I'm also going to share the story of 2 former students and how they scaled their business to 10K plus a month. And then at the end of today's training, I'm going to share an opportunity to work with me and my team and see if you qualify to do so. The truth is, there's only so much that I can share today, right? We're going to go for about 60 minutes, then answer some questions, give you as much as possible. But if you want to work with me at a higher level, that's what the opportunity will be. And the truth is that me and my team believe that ordinary people can create an extraordinary life if they have the right guidance, the right system, the right mindset. My goal, my dream is to help 100,000 people become financially free by helping them get to 10K months with Airbnb. And at the end of today, I'm going to give you guys a free gift. So make sure you guys stay to the very end, because this is actually a list that I recently used on one of my recent Airbnb launches. You're going to get all the furniture, appliances, decor, supplies, everything in one Excel sheet, organized by bedroom. And it's all Amazon stuff. So it's going to be super easy for you guys to just rinse and repeat, and you'll get that free gift at the end of today. First thing, let's take a live look at my April earnings. Okay, I want to show a little bit of my April earnings. The first thing is that, again, in the last 30 days, we took these screenshots a couple days ago, 2 days ago to be exact, and we've done about 124,000 in the last 30 days. And in the last 165 days, $1 million worth of Airbnb bookings. Okay, so right now, as of right now, this is the best year we've ever had, and everything is trending up, because typically summer in most areas is the absolute best time to launch an Airbnb. So super excited to share that with you guys today. So how do we get earnings like this, right? And before we go into that, let me just share, right? This property here, the rent on this property is $3,200 a month, right? But on Airbnb in the month of April, and again, I'm going to show a live look in my account in a few seconds here, but in the month of April, we did 13,714 utilizing the Real system. How is it that we do that? How is it that we were able to more than 3x what the fair market rent is? So just to clarify, if this property was being rented to a long-term tenant, someone who would live there for 12 months, that's what we refer to as the fair market rent. Like if I was going to live there for 12 months, or you were going to live there for 12 months, or so-and-so, or so-and-so, the rent for the 12 months, right, for each month would be $3,200 a month. But how am I making 3.5 times that rent? That's what we're here to talk about today. That's the power of utilizing this disruptive, innovative technology that Airbnb provides. Again, April 2022, just last month, 13,700. This property right here, the fair market rent is $3,300 a month. But again, we did over $9,000, and we actually hosted an event for our mastermind students. But had we not blocked that weekend, it would have been about $11,000. But still, we 3x'd what the rent is on this property. I'll give you guys one more example here. This is a property that I've been subleasing for almost 3 years. So again, I don't own the property. I signed a lease agreement, got permission in writing, and we've been able to 3 to 4x every single month for the last almost 3 years. Again, the fair market rent that I pay to rent this property is $4,000 a month. And this month, in this month that just passed, we did $11,000 of total revenue. But quick and important disclaimer, right, guys? I just want to make sure that I really set the foundation correct here. I can't guarantee that you're going to get the results that my students and I are creating, because my result and my students' results are not typical. I can't guarantee that you'll have the same success, because I don't know what your work ethic is. I personally don't know you. I don't know what your drive and willingness is to take action. And the truth is that all businesses have inherent risk and take massive effort in action. This is not Netflix and chill. And it's definitely not get rich quick. This is get rich for sure if you put in the work, put in the time, and follow the right steps. However, my promise to you is that I'm going to give you as much valuable, actionable knowledge today to help you be successful as well. So what are some of the challenges that brought you to this training? The truth is you're likely relying on a single stream of income right now. It's likely that you have all your eggs in one basket. And if you didn't have your job tomorrow, for most people, you'd be unable to take care of yourself and your family for more than a few months, right? Because 80% of Americans are 4 paychecks away from being broke. It's possible that you're trading time for money, building someone else's last name, someone else's empire, all while sacrificing time away from the people you love. It's possible that you feel overworked, underpaid, as Robert Kiyosaki of Rich Dad Poor Dad says, stuck in the rat race. If you're counting on your 401k or Social Security for retirement, then you're definitely in trouble, and I'm really glad you're here. If you have the goal, the vision in mind to create financial abundance, but your only resort is to go and get a second job or go back to school to get into another $50,000 to $200,000 of debt just so you can get a certificate to continue to work for someone else, I got a way better plan for you guys here today. Now, Warren Buffett once said, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work a job until you die. That's why passive income is so important. And what are the consequences if you don't fix these problems, right? The truth is that you'll continue to spend less and less time with your family and loved ones. You're going to continue working well into your 70s because yes, retirement age right now is 65. But if you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, by the time you get to retirement age, it's really going to be like well into your 70s. You're also risking that your job may not be there in the next few years. Just look at what happened in the pandemic, right? 30 million people lost their job. Boom, just like that in the US. People that had their jobs for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And guess what? They had to start from scratch somewhere else. When you don't take control of your own finances, you're risking that your company gets acquired, downsizes, or could even go bankrupt. You don't want to let anyone else be in charge of your finances but you. This is why you want to become an independent income creator, building your last name, your business, something that one day you can pass on to your loved ones as part of your legacy. Again, if you don't do something now, you'll continue to be overworked, underpaid, and continue to dig yourself in a financial hole. Even if you have a great career and you make great money, how much of that money do you make while you sleep? Do you make any passive income? Do you have a second stream of income? And that's what this is really about. So here's the other thing, guys. I get it. I wasn't born rich, not even close, and I didn't have anything handed to me. Just a little bit more about my background and going more into the detail. I grew up in a household with Mexican immigrant parents. I began selling drugs at the young age of 7 with my dad. We began smuggling people into this country when I was 10 years old. My father passed away when I was 12. He passed away from alcohol. And then my mom abandoned me when I was 13. I failed 7th grade, graduated high school with 4X1D, and then I dropped out of college. So based on statistics, right, like I'm not supposed to be here in front of you leading this YouTube live with, hundreds of people. I'm supposed to be either dead, in jail, or really messed up in drugs. But there's a lot of things that I did today in the last 10 years to completely transform my life. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today and what you can do as well. Because the truth is that the fish doesn't know that it's in the water. When I was experiencing all these different challenges, I thought everybody sold drugs. I thought everyone smuggled people across the border. Again, the fish doesn't know that it's in the water. And I had one mentor, my 7th grade teacher, Mr. Parcell, who was my first role model. He knew all the challenges. Again, this wasn't even my teacher, it was the substitute teacher, but he knew all the challenges that I was experiencing in my life. And so one day he comes and he kneels down at eye level and he says, Jorge, you don't have to be a victim to your circumstance. You don't have to repeat the patterns. He says, you can decide to change your life. You can decide to set a new standard for your younger siblings. You could change your life and you could change the world. And that started leading me in a different direction. Like Gandhi once said, be the change that you wish to see in the world. And there are 3 things that I did to completely transform my life from victim to victor, from feeling like everything happens to me to realizing that everything happens for me. And every single thing that I experienced, I used it as a stepping stone to get me to where I'm at today. They say that if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. The first thing I did is I rewrote my story. Instead of saying, because my dad died, I'm like this. Because my mom abandoned me, I'm like this. I used all of that as fuel to inspire me, to motivate me to become the greatest version of myself and set a new standard, not just for my family, but for the whole world, anybody I come in contact with. So I rewrote my story, and instead of being a victim to my story and giving away my power, again, I used all those experiences as stepping stones because I truly believe that those experiences are exactly what molded me into who I am today. Had I not had all those challenges and experiences and I had maybe the perfect childhood, I don't feel I would be as successful that I would have the life that I have today. Because when you struggle and go through these challenges and obstacles, there's a lot of value in overcoming, right? Fall down, 7 times and get up 8 times. The second thing is that if you can't change your friends, change your friends. Look, when I was going through a lot of those challenges in my life, I actually attracted other people that were experiencing similar challenges. And so one of the first things that I had to do is that if I wanted to make room for the right people in my life, I first needed to let go of the wrong people in my life. So if you're surrounding yourself with people that don't inspire you, don't motivate you, don't drive you, people who are not fanning your fire, you gotta find a new circle of friends. The third thing that I did is I invested in myself. I surrounded myself with mentors who already had the result and outcome that I desire. My parents never owned real estate. They never had any legal, legitimate businesses. So I wasn't going to learn what I know today from my parents because they don't have those results. There's a lot of good that I learned and extracted from, in my upbringing from them. But if I wanted to be a millionaire with real estate, with Airbnb, guess what? I needed to go and find people who had those specific results. So I always say, find someone who has a result and outcome that you desire and learn from them. So let's talk a little bit about my story and how I got into real estate and Airbnb. In 2012, I purchased my very first piece of real estate. In 2014, I made a vision board and had the goal to buy my beautiful mother a home. Again, she started working when she was literally like 3 years old. Could barely talk, but was already working out in the fields in Mexico. She never went to school. Still today, she doesn't know how to read, write. She doesn't speak English. And she used to live a couple days with me, then my brother, then my sister, then my aunt, then like her friends. She never had a place to call home for herself. And so in 2014, I made a vision board to buy her a house. And I gave myself 5 years. I said, hey, by 2019, I need to buy my mother a home. And then in 2015, I became a student at the Rich Dad Company, right? I knew how to buy my house, which I did in 2012, but I didn't know how to go and start buying more properties on an ongoing basis because owning a home and being a real estate investor are two completely different languages. So I invested in myself. It was actually $35,000 for the coaching mentorship that I paid for back in August of 2015. And within 18 months, I bought my beautiful mother her dream home, her first home in the area that she wanted. And there's actually a full video, but I'm just going to show you a quick 20-second clip here, but there's a full video here on YouTube. It's called Broke to Millionaire and the 3 Lessons. Check it out. This time, I blindfold her. I tell her that we're going to go eat, but really I'm driving her to her home. Earlier that morning, I had all of the furniture from couches, bed, refrigerator, stove, TV, decor, everything that goes inside of the kitchen. She didn't even have to go buy toilet paper. I furnished the house 100%. All she had to do was bring her clothes. And so we pull up on the car, which my Toyota Corolla at the time, and she's blindfolded. It's a rainy day. And I get out of my car and I go to her side. I help her out. I walk her in front of the car so she's facing the house. And I say, Mom, put your hand out. And I put the keys in her hand. And I said, Mom, welcome to the rest of your life. And then she opens the door. And of course, when she opens, my whole family who helped me clean and organize everything is like, surprise! And honestly, for me, that was one of the most beautiful experiences. And so they always say, right, to fill up your cup first because you can't give from an empty cup. And so what I did in the last 10 years, right, is I continued to invest in myself, surround myself with people that inspire me, motivate me, fan my fire, people that already have the result and outcome that I desire. I filled up my cup and then I started overflowing into the cups, into the lives of other people that I love and care about. And that's exactly how I was able to accomplish one of my biggest goals. And this took place 2 years earlier than I declared. On January 22nd of 2017 is when this happened. The cool thing is, you can't really see, but right here on the right, I was able to sort of divide the house because it was a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. My mom didn't need the entire home, especially in the Latino culture. If you have all these extra bedrooms, guess what? You're going to have family living there for free. And I didn't want that. And so because I would be doing them a disservice. I would become a crutch. And so what I did is I did what you call a split home ADU. I legally split like 30% of the home into its own independent unit, put it on Airbnb with its own separate entrance, its own kitchenette, basically into a duplex. And I put it on Airbnb, and for 5 years, not only has it been paying the mortgage, but we've been cash flowing about $1,500 a month. So my mother now lives mortgage payment free. So my story continued. At the end of 2016, I discovered Airbnb. In March of 2017, I had a bunch of leases that were ending. And so I launched my first 4 Airbnbs in March of 2017. And the previous rents I was getting from these 4 units were $1,500 a month. I immediately launched them on Airbnb and started making $3,500 on each unit per month. So it took me from making $6,000 to $14,000 a month. And that's how I became financially free. Because again, my passive income exceeded my monthly living expenses. So now I'm financially free. And then in 2018, my wife, was still stuck in a rat race. She went to Long Beach State University, became a law enforcement officer, and she had a government job where she was going to be off, say, in 15 minutes after an 8-hour shift. And then her boss said, hey, Lucia, you got to stay for another 8 hours. And she would work 16-hour shifts consistently. And because it was a federal job, there was nothing she could do. And when we would think into the future and talk about having a family and kids and traveling, I'm like, how are we going to do that when she's going to be stuck working 16-hour shifts? And so I made it my goal to help her quit her job so we could both be financially free. And so in 2018, I asked her a crazy question. I said, how would you feel if in 6 months from now, you never had to work again? And my wife is Salvadorian, so she was like, are you crazy? Like, just kidding, not kidding. So long story short is in 2019, I discovered Airbnb arbitrage. That's when my wife never had to go to work again because we launched a bunch of subleases that replaced her 6-figure career. And we learned that we didn't need any down payments, any closing costs for the subleasing model. So it allowed us to grow fast. We launched 7 subleases in 3 months. It allowed us to grow our capital. So again, when we started in 2017, we started with properties we already own. Then in 2019, we launched 7 subleases, right? With that same amount of money that we launched 7 subleases, we would have bought maybe 1, maybe 2 properties. But instead, we went the subleasing model because we wanted to invest for cash flow. We wanted to replace her 9 to 5 so she could be out of the rat race. So by going into the subleasing model all in, it allowed us to grow our capital fast, which then we went and started buying more real estate. And today we own a $7 million real estate portfolio. So currently we have 8 properties that we own, 7 that we sublease, and 3 that we manage. A little bit more about my life today. Again, we're doing 6 figures a month. I spend less than 1 hour a week on my business, retired my mom, my wife. I coached over 3,000 students. And over the next 10 years, I will help 100,000 families become financially free. And you might be wondering, but if you saw in the video, right, like, Jorge, if you're so successful with Airbnb, why are you focusing on helping other people? Well, once we became millionaires, again, I was on this high, super excited for about 3 days. And after those 3 days, I just felt like a sense of emptiness. And that's when I felt like a higher power was telling me, Jorge, go and change other people's lives. And so that's what this is my one thing. This is what I love. I love coaching and helping other people become financially free because it's no longer about me, but what I can help other people create and accomplish in their life. So you guys want to see a live look at my Airbnbs? Alrighty, well, let's do this. So let me go into my Airbnb account here, and I'm going to show you some of the properties that I actually shared a few minutes ago, so that way you guys can see some of the actual bookings. So this is the first property that I showed you guys here. And look, I can, I just want to make sure you guys don't think this is Photoshop or a screenshot. I can click on any month, stay on April 2022, April 2022. And I'll click on this first guest here. You can see here on the right, this booking for $1,188, another one for $1,000, $1,236. Here's this booking for $2,362. If we go to the second property, This one here, again, you can see all the bookings, $2,000 booking, another $2,200 booking right here. These are all real bookings here. And then finally, this was the last one that I mentioned. I have been subleasing for like almost 3 years for $4,000 a month. And we do anywhere from like 10 to 14 grand a month. The biggest month we did about $20,000 in last year in the summer. That's why I'm really looking forward to this summer, because we're going to do probably over 150,000 in the month of July being the peak month. But that's a little bit about some of these. Let me click on some of these. So first one here, $1,700 booking. You can see on the right. Another one here for almost $2,000, and then one more here for another $2,000. Just so you guys can see that these are real and legitimate bookings. So let's go back here to the presentation. Let me screen share here, and let's continue here with the slides. So here we go. All right, so you guys got to see a little bit of my Airbnb account there. Now, why Airbnb? How does it work? And what are the 3 strategies? The first thing is that Airbnb is a goldmine opportunity. Over 500 million guests have stayed in an Airbnb, earning hosts over $65 billion. And the truth is that no matter what people want to travel, even during the pandemic, people were sick and tired of being stuck at home. And so it created like this rubber band effect where people were like, I want to get out of my house. Did anybody here, let me know in the comments, did anybody here book a staycation, like maybe stayed at an Airbnb? Let me know in the comments, in a nearby city or in the same city from where you live, because that's what we did. We started staying at local Airbnbs because we wanted to have a great experience. And even during the pandemic, as you guys can see on the bottom left, my statistic here, Airbnb hosts earned over $1 billion. Now, how can it work for you? Well, the first thing is that we are using a disruptive, innovative technology similar to these other big companies, some of the biggest in the world. The truth is that Uber is the world's largest taxi company and owns no vehicles. Airbnb is the largest accommodation provider, owns no real estate. Facebook, the most popular media provider, creates no content. Instagram is the most valuable photo company, sells no cameras. Netflix is the fastest growing television network, lays no cables. And Alibaba is the most valuable retailer and has no inventory. Here's the crazy thing, guys. None of these companies existed 20 years ago. So we are leveraging technology. These are disruptive, innovative technologies. But there's a lot of investment options. How do they compare to Airbnb? Because some people are looking at e-commerce, stock market, or the traditional way of investing in real estate. But as you guys can see here, based on this graph, they don't even compare. And that's why I went all in on Airbnb. So what are the 3 strategies to start an Airbnb business? Of course, you can buy property, right? You're going to need the down payment, the closing costs. And buying is a phenomenal strategy once you've attained a lot of capital. Like if you have hundreds of thousands of dollars, like 200, 300, 400,000, then hey, you might want to go straight into the buying strategy, right? Because you're going to create long-term wealth. The second strategy is co-host. It's where you manage other people's Airbnbs. You get a percentage of all the revenue, but with co-hosting, you make less money than with subleasing. There's really 2 strategies that you want to look at. When you are starting an Airbnb business, or when I'm helping my students start an Airbnb business, I have 2 goals for them. Number 1 is to invest for cash flow. And number 2, invest for appreciation. Let me break it down. When you invest for cash flow, your primary goal is, how can I replace my 9-to-5 income? Even if you love your 9-to-5 and you're part of the 15% of people that actually love what they do, great. It'll become an option rather than an obligation. But for the 85% of people that would quit their jobs like this, if they could, by the way, would you quit your job like this when you replace your 9-to-5? Let me know in the comments. Subleasing is that happy medium. It's the most effective way to replace a 9-to-5. Once you have some subleases that are accelerating your cash flow, then you want to invest for appreciation. What's appreciation? It's where you buy a property, say for $600,000 today, and in 10 years, it's worth 1.2 million. Right? So you want to own the equity, the appreciation, the increase in value over time. But again, it's difficult for most people to start with purchasing because it requires a lot more capital. And that's why subleasing is the most effective way to replace a 9-to-5. and to create financial freedom. Again, with subleasing, no down payments, no closing costs, you're leveraging other people's properties. You can grow faster, there's less risk, there's no additional cost, and it's easier to scale. Now, here's just one example. This is Edgar, and I want to talk about his real life results. Edgar is a DACA recipient that moved from Mexico, chasing the American dream. He is now making over $30,000 a month on Airbnb. Now let's talk about his before, okay? Before he started working with me in the Rio system, he used to be a driver for Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash. He used to be, he used to be a lifeguard. Here's the picture of him being a lifeguard in LA. He was living with his mom, trading time for money, overworked, underpaid, making $30K a year. Now he's making $30K a month. Quit his 9 to 5, created financial freedom, lives in a skyrise apartment in downtown LA that his Airbnbs pay for. But what did Edgar do, right? The truth is, his mom was not a real estate investor. His mom was not a millionaire. His dad was never really in the picture. So he was like, how do I find people that are really successful? And that's how he started. That's how he came across basically my Instagram, and he sent me a DM and said, hey, I want to be successful. He ended up joining my coaching, learned the roadmap, and boom. Now he owns millions of dollars in real estate. But again, the subleasing strategy has allowed him to accelerate his results as well and get him to $30K a month. But if getting to $10K a month on Airbnb is so simple, then why isn't everybody successful at it? The truth is that there's 5 reasons why new Airbnb hosts fail. Let me rephrase that again. Why most new Airbnb hosts fail. So let's go over them. Number 1 is that they don't make data-driven decisions. Most people, when they launch an Airbnb, they just pick a city. They're like flipping a coin, and it's a 50-50. Let's hope it works. Let's hope I can double the rent that I'm going to pay. When we launch Airbnbs, we are looking at factual data, the existing performance, the revenue, the occupancy of Airbnbs in order to determine if we can 2 or 3x what the rent is. The second reason is when people are getting started, they fail to understand ordinances. They don't understand whether they need a permit, don't need a permit, or maybe you're not even allowed to launch in that area. You have to get familiar with the ordinances. Number 3, this is probably the biggest one, is they have no idea how to speak to landlords. They're literally like, hi, I'd like to rent your property and put it on Airbnb. It's like, click. It's like, why did they hung up on me? They don't have the proper scripts, presentations, or the right language. They don't know how to speak to landlords in order to get permission in writing to use their properties for short-term rentals. And number 4, they don't understand contracts. They don't understand the legal verbiage that needs to be in the contract in order for you to be completely protected. And number 5 is they run their business like a job. What does that mean? Well, most people, when they're getting into this business, for the most part, it's 9 to 5 people who have never started a business, don't know how to build a team, don't understand or know how to create systems, and they have this limiting belief of, if I want it done right, I have to do it myself. And so they end up just creating another job for themselves. Now, I want to give you some action steps for what to look for in a property in order to get to those 10K months. You guys ready? Here we go. So when I am looking for properties, which is pretty much every day, tomorrow I'm going to drive 2.5 hours into the desert areas to go look at some new property. And this is what I look for. This is my criteria, guys. Take a snapshot right now, and so you guys can save this, okay? But there are 5 things that I look for that the property must have in order for it to qualify for me to want to sublease this property. Number 1 is I look for a minimum 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms on a single family home. Or if your budget is a little tight, you can start with a smaller property like an apartment that has 2 bedrooms or 1 bathroom. But typically I go for a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, single family home. If it has more bedrooms, more bathrooms, great. The property I'm going to go look at tomorrow has 4 bedrooms and 2 baths. The property must have AC and heat. The property must have parking for 2 vehicles or more. The property must be renovated, meaning that it recently got upgraded. And 5 is really more of a bonus, and that is if the property is already, if it's furnished and or has appliances. Again, this is more of a bonus because for the most part, most properties have some appliances sometimes all of them, sometimes not, and maybe only about 10% of the time are they furnished. So typically we buy the furniture in order to launch. Now, there's also three things that you absolutely want to avoid when looking at properties. Number one, you want to avoid properties that are on a main street. Number two, avoid properties that are near train stations or train tracks. And number three, avoid properties that are in the D areas. What does that mean? Typically in real estate, we identify properties, locations, areas as A, B, C, and D. A, very high-end luxury multi-million-dollar properties. Opposite side of the spectrum, D, high crime, low income, gang activity, drug activity. It is where most people don't feel safe. That's just the truth, right? There's a lot of crazy stuff. It's kind of where I grew up back in the day. Maybe some of you here, but it's usually the unsafest areas to live in. And if people don't feel safe living there, you wouldn't want to launch an Airbnb there because people are going to complain about the areas. They're not going to feel safe. The best areas, the sweet spot is the in-between, the B and the C. So avoid properties in the D area. Now let's take a live look on Zillow on how to do this. If you guys have any suggestions in the chat, go ahead and type any cities right now in the chat that you feel you want me to look at. I'm going to go on Zillow and I'm going to look at properties that fit the business model. So go right now on YouTube and type a city that you want me to look at. And then if editor, just let me know what's a city that a lot of people chose. And let's go to Zillow right now and let's look for some properties. Okay. I have one that I pre-selected. So let's go over this one first. This is a great example of, again, a property that fits our business model. Typically, like I said, I look for single family homes that are 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,100 square feet or more. Why 1,100 square feet? Because if it's like 700, 800, or 900 square feet, I probably won't be able to host the amount of people that I want in order to charge more money and to have higher revenue, higher occupancy, and ultimately more profit margin. Now, I'm looking at some of the comments. Let's see, Houston, Texas, Fresno, Houston. Wow, a lot of Houston. Sacramento, McAllen, Raleigh, Washington, D.C., Petersburg, Riverside, Newport. Awesome. Hello, Sarah. Cool. So I'm going to go into Houston after I look at this one. Let me just bring my chair here a little closer. So 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 1,800 square feet. I could fit a nice amount of people here, charge more money. Here's the thing, guys. Being able to host larger groups of people is going to increase your profit margins. And here's why. Let's say you're only hosting like 6 people in this property. And let's say I'm coming into the area and I want to stay at a property in Dallas. But let's say there's a group of 10 of us. And let's say your property only hosts up to 6. Guess what? When I put properties that host 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, your property that hosts up to 6 only will not even come up. So when you host more people, you make your property more searchable. You can basically fit into a wider criteria, therefore allowing you to charge more money, host more people, have a higher revenue, higher occupancy. So this property fits the business model as far as the bedrooms, bathrooms, and square footage. It has AC and heat. You can see the vents right here, which I just kind of know from doing this for over 10 years. You can also see it in the description, or you could even see here the cooling and heating situation. Or if you're not sure, you can, once you call the property owner or manager, you can confirm if it has AC and heat. But I really like this property because, again, look at the remodel was done really well. The outside looks really, really nice. The nice wood, the colors, the blue door, the recessed lighting, the new floor, the crown molding, the baseboards, the paints, the kitchen, the backsplash. It has a refrigerator, stainless steel refrigerator. It has a stove. It's got the it's got a really nice setup. It's a really clean property. And I really like that it has this little outside room because I would turn this into a game room. I'll maybe put like a pool table, a foosball table, a game room, anything to be able to create an experience inside of the property where I could even create a staycation experience. The other thing is it's got a big garage right on top of that. So it's got the game room, the 3-2 plus the garage, and look, plenty of parking space. But yes, when you're launching an Airbnb, it absolutely needs to have parking for a minimum of 2 vehicles. Again, it's not furnished, but it does have some of the appliances. So 3-2 single family home, AC and heat, renovated, parking, and it's got some appliances. So this one fits the business model. Now, a lot of you suggested for me to look into Houston. So let's go to Houston here. And if you're wondering, I am on Zillow.com. Let me actually go from the very beginning, right? So I'll go to Zillow.com right here. It's going to say type in an address or a city. So I'm going to go to Houston. And then I'm going to put, properties for rent. Up to how much am I willing to pay? I'm just going to leave it at $2,500 for now. I'm going to look for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom property here. And then here, I'm going to put houses. And then boom, as you can see, there's 598 results. And my sort criteria is by default, it's just newest to oldest. So this property just got launched or became available 12 minutes ago on the market. So let's go ahead and click on it. And let's see if this one fits the business model. It's a 3-2, 1,500 square feet. So the first one definitely meets the criteria. AC and heat. Just by looking at the property, it looks like it has AC and heat, but again, you could always confirm when you call or in the description. Parking, I'm not able to see if it has parking or not. I also do see a stove and a refrigerator, so it has some of the appliances, not all of them. But one of the cool things is you can actually do a street view. So let's see if I'm able to do that here. Usually you can do a street view and kind of look at what the outside looks like. Okay, this was not giving me the option, but that's okay. But so yeah, 3-2, it's renovated, right? So it's a clean remodel. It's a clean remodel. AC and heat, parking, I would have to confirm over the phone, once you call them. And again, it has some of the appliances. But just from looking here, there's definitely a lot of inventory, a lot of properties available for rent. So for those of you in Houston, you definitely have a lot of great properties and opportunities there to be able to take your Airbnb business to the next level or to start your Airbnb business. But that being said, let's continue here. So let's look at Lupita's real life results. She used to be overworked, working 60 hours a week, to now becoming financially free at the young age of 30. Lupita actually used to be a hospice nurse. Basically, taking care of people when they, aren't going to live more than like 6 months. She was on call, no days off, working 60 plus hours a week. I still remember, guys, when she joined the coaching, she had like this monitor that would literally beep, and then she had to leave, drop whatever she was doing, no matter how important it was. She had to go save someone's life. She was trading time for money, living in fear and scarcity, no vacations, and really no time for personal life. She was just working that much. Today, she's become financially free. She subleases and owns multiple properties. She can travel everywhere and anywhere. By the way, she recently got engaged because now she has time to actually date. She quit her 9-to-5 nursing career at the peak of the pandemic, and she continues to use her cash flow to acquire more Airbnbs. So the question is, how can you create results like Edgar and Lupita? Well, the first thing, again, and this is part of the secret, right, to how my students and I scale our Airbnbs, not just to 10K a month, but we have students making 50 to 100K a month. And the way we did this is there's really 4 types of people that make up the world of business, right? You have employees and self-employed. And then on the right side of the quadrant, you have business owners and investors. On the left side of the quadrant, employees and people who are self-employed, who have a business, but really they wear all the hats in the business and they run their business like a JOB. They are always trading time for money. When you're an employee or self-employed, you can't really go on vacation because if you do, money stops coming in. When you learn how to go on the right side and run your Airbnb business from the B quadrant, you build a team and a system that works even when you don't. And you might be saying, Jorge, like, why should we take action now? So let's talk about some of those reasons. The reality is, if nothing changes, nothing changes, right? You guys all came here because you want to get to those 10K a month, 10K months consistently with Airbnb, because you want to become financially free. You want to travel the world. You want to spend more time, quality time with the people you love, whatever it may be. But if you don't do anything different, then guess what? Your next 5 years are going to look just like your last 5 years. So if you're that person that is constantly sitting on the sidelines waiting for the perfect time to happen, guess what? The perfect time doesn't exist. You create it. The other thing is that inflation is at an all-time high, the highest in the last 40 years. And right now, I truly believe that inflation is at about 15 to 20%. What does that mean? That you're losing purchasing power by about 15 to 20% every year. So if you have 100 grand right now in your bank account, and by this time next year, it'll still stay 100,000, but your purchasing power would have decreased by 20%, and you will only buy what 80,000 could buy you today. So how do you combat inflation? Invest. Make your money work for you. Have your money earn you a higher return than the inflation rate. Okay. I truly believe, honestly and genuinely, that 2022 is the best time to start an Airbnb business. Okay. As I showed you guys earlier in one of the graphs, 2019, I think the numbers were like 250 million. 2020, there was a slight drop. 2021, over $300 million in bookings. And in 2022, we are on track to break the record in 2021 as far as revenue for Airbnb hosts. So everything is trending up. No more masks, no more shutdowns. I just got back from Cabo yesterday with my family, and people are traveling like crazy. And summer, like I said, in most places is the absolute best time to launch an Airbnb. So if you could get, launch an Airbnb in the next 30 days or less, you're gonna catch the best times of the year, okay? The other thing is, I truly believe that there's a shortage of Airbnbs. Like I mentioned earlier, there's been like a rubber band effect taking place where people were sick and tired of being at home. And guess what? They want to travel. They want to be out and about. And people would rather stay in a house where they can have a better experience at a fraction of the cost. So we need more Airbnbs. Now, let's recap what we've covered so far. We talked about how to make your money work for you through Airbnb to fund your lifestyle, how to shift your mindset, how to leverage real estate, and why 90% of all millionaires have become through real estate investing. The 3 strategies my students and I use to generate a predictable cash flow of 10K a month, and the number 1 strategy, subleasing, that I recommend, even if you're just getting started. The secret to acquiring, launching, and automating Airbnbs in 90 days or less. We talked about the 5 biggest reasons why most Airbnb hosts fail, and the number 1 thing you could start to do today to build your 10K a month automated business. Now, you have 2 choices, right? Option 1 is you do nothing. You stay stuck doing whatever you're doing, keep letting inflation basically steal your money, continue trading time for money for the next 30 to 40 years at the same job, at the same cubicle, making your boss rich rather than yourself. Or you can decide to invest in yourself. You can decide to learn how to predictively generate 10K a month on Airbnb in 90 days or less without owning real estate, so you too can create an extraordinary life and achieve freedom on every level of your life. Live life with purpose and legacy, impacting lives, making a difference, not just in your life, but whether it's your kids, your family, your parents, your church, a nonprofit, whatever. Again, focus on yourself to really fill up your cup and then overflow into the lives of those that you love. Can you imagine living a life where you can live life on your terms? Like, if you are able to replace your 9 to 5 and get those 40 to 60 hours back, what would you do with your free time? Right? Having a passive income that makes having your job an option rather than a necessity or an obligation. Like, if you had all this time freedom, this financial freedom, where would you travel to? Whose life would you make a difference in? Imagine, like some of our students, their goal is to quit their job so they can become, the captain in their daughter or son's, soccer club, just to be able to spend more time with them, to not miss out on those moments that only ever happen one time. Our students imagined having an extraordinary life too. And here are just a few of the results, right? Edgar, who launched 2 Airbnbs in less than 4 months. Lupita, who continues to launch Airbnbs. Valentina, who hit 18K in the month of December. She, by the way, now, she launched 8 Airbnbs in 8 months. Are you next? Are you going to be like Peter and Selena, who launched 4 Airbnbs in less than 12 months? Or like Annette, who literally the moment she hit live, got 10 bookings in under 24 hours by following the Real System roadmap? These students used our predictable and repeatable step-by-step roadmap called the Real System to help them get to 10K a month. We teach you how to go from employee to investor, how to go from working for money to having money work for you. If you want to join me and over 3,000 plus Airbnb empire builders who use the Real System, here's everything you get if you qualify to work with my team and I. So everything about the Real System. Even though we like to start most students with a subleasing strategy, we still include the rest of the curriculum on co-hosting and purchasing. Why? Because once you become extremely successful with subleasing, we don't want you to have to go and buy another coaching program for purchasing. It's already going to be here. Remember, I started with that strategy. I own $7 million worth of real estate just on the purchasing side. And as you become successful with your subleasing business, you're going to have people that eventually find out and they're like, hey, can you manage my Airbnbs? And boom, you start making a piece of other people's Airbnbs with no money invested. So you're going to get all 3 curriculums: subleasing, co-hosting, and owning. In the last 10 years, I personally have invested in myself, into coaches and mentors, over $500,000. I've had many multimillionaires and even 1 billionaire. Everything that I learned investing over $500,000, I'm gonna pass all that knowledge to you guys, which has allowed me to build my $1 million Airbnb portfolio. And again, I put it all together inside of this system so you can build your Airbnbs quickly and without the costly mistakes. And our training is consistently updated. On top of that, we have live group Zoom coaching calls every single week, 4 coaching calls a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, talking about all 3 strategies plus the proper mindset that you need to have. There's coaching calls that I lead, and then we have other 6-figure coaches who at one point began as a student and now have multiple 6-figure businesses, and they help and lead some of the other coaching calls. You also have priority access to attend my in-person events. We have a Facebook group with over 1,000 active students from all over the US. So it doesn't matter what part. I saw all the comments here. It doesn't matter where you're located in the US. Best believe we have students all over the US that you can network, potentially go into a partnership, or that you could just support each other if you're launching in the areas that each of you live in. So we got the Facebook group, and we also have a Slack, which is like WhatsApp for communication, where you can have questions answered Monday through Friday during business hours. You'll be surrounded with a community of like-minded individuals who are all on the same journey. So again, every week you're gonna have coaching from me and our 6-figure coaches, so that no matter what you encounter, you'll be able to create success and launch your Airbnbs quickly and easily. Keep in mind, there are 5 big mistakes that most people who decide to do this on their own encounter, and we covered them earlier today, right? They're not making data-driven decisions. They don't understand ordinances. They don't know how to speak to landlords. They don't understand contracts, and they run their business like a job. Inside of the Real System, we're going to give you lifetime access to data analysis softwares that we pay for, where you can get the factual data, the existing performance of Airbnbs over the last 12 months. So like if you find a property that you can rent for $2,500 a month, and there's 3 Airbnbs making $7,500 a month, boom, that's a no-brainer. That's making decisions based on factual data. We're going to give you 50 plus scripts, templates, contracts, presentations, word by word, everything that you need to say to a landlord to get them to say yes, plus recordings of me speaking to landlords for the first time. I have those recordings inside of the online course. So this way you could launch with our predictability software. You'll be able to know the exact ROI possible before you start an Airbnb. Again, plus knowing exactly what to say to the landlord so you can lock in the properties with ease. On top of that, we have over 79 bonuses of live videos. Again, for myself and actual 6-figure coaches who are all super hosts trained by me, and 20 plus videos on creating wealth. We'll be able to answer any questions that you have in the Facebook community, in the Slack. And as far as the softwares, the Facebook, the Slack, and the online course, all of that is lifetime access. And again, you'll be able to leverage that $500,000 investment I made, offer you to have a consistent, repeatable system. So again, just to recap, you're going to get everything on subleasing, co-hosting only, the 4 coaching calls per week, priority access to in-person events, the data softwares, lifetime access to the Facebook group, the Slack, and so much more. Now, one thing about us is you can't go to a website and just pay for the coaching. We want to make sure that this is serious, guys. We want to speak to every single person that wants to be a part of our coaching and mentorship. Why? Because we want to make sure that we only allow people who are serious, who have the mindset, and also who have the finances to actually start this business. Because the truth is, there's a lot of people that maybe want to get started, but they don't have the money for the for the rent, for the deposit, for the furniture. And so if you're in a position where you don't have the finances right now, totally understand. Keep consuming all of my YouTube. We launch 2 YouTube videos a week. I got a podcast. Follow me on Instagram. I got a free ebook. And then when you're ready and you have the finances, come back to us. For those of you that have the finances now, I'm going to show you in a second how to apply here to be a part of the Real system. Number 1 is you're going to fill out a quick 2-minute application. I'm going to post it. We're going to post it right now in the comments here on YouTube. So look at the comments here on YouTube. There's going to be a link to fill out an application, asking for some basic info so we can learn a little bit about you, your finances, and see which strategy you want to start with. After you fill out that quick 2-minute application, I want you guys to come over to my Instagram and DM me the word YouTube, right? Come over to my YouTube and direct message me the word YouTube on Instagram so I know that you completed step 1. So just to recap, the very first thing you're going to do is click on the link here in the comments and fill out the quick 2-minute application. After you do that, head on over to Instagram and direct message me the word YouTube on Instagram. This way I know you completed step 1. Now for number 3, after you do 1 and 2, my team and I are going to get in contact with you to schedule you on a phone call so we can learn about you, the business you want to start, the finances, which strategy, what location, and help you basically, after you have that enrollment call, help you start your 10K a month automated Airbnb business. If for some reason you are unable to click on the link here in the comments, the website address is therealsystem.com/join. Again, therealsystem.com/join. The other thing is we just opened up 15 spots available for coaching. Okay, this is not a sales tactic. We're being completely honest. The truth is we wouldn't be able to take on 200 students right now because of the intimacy of the group coaching and the one-on-one coaching that we offer our students. We can only take on a certain amount of students. So right now we opened up 15 spots available. Like I said, some of our coaching programs are group coaching only. Some of them come with group coaching plus a one-on-one coach. And some of them are group coaching plus a one-on-one coach plus in-person masterminds where you can meet me and my team in person. So depending on where you are in your finances, we'll see what's a better fit for you. And again, we only have 15 spots available. The other thing is we are only going to schedule calls for tomorrow and the next day. Okay, so if you're truly interested in building a 10K a month automated Airbnb business in the next 90 days or less without owning real estate, you want to make sure that you book your call for tomorrow's Wednesday, or for Thursday, okay? Because again, we are only going to schedule calls for the next 48 hours. It is on a first come, first serve. So after this webinar, I am going to start reaching out to some of you through text. When you fill out the application here, on number 1, fill out the quick 2-minute application. It's going to ask you for your phone number, make sure it's correct. And then I'm going to start texting you guys and scheduling you calls, scheduling you on calls for tomorrow. Ideally, you want to get on this phone call tomorrow with my team to talk about getting you to 10K a month. So if you have the ability, make sure you open up your calendar for tomorrow to do that call, or at the latest by Thursday. The other thing is it is very important that we have all decision makers on the call. Like I'll give you an example. A while ago, there was somebody who was interested in joining the coaching, and after they spoke to us, they're like, "Oh, I need to speak to my spouse." And so they didn't join right away. And guess what? The 15 spots were taken and that person missed out. So make sure that if you have a spouse or business partner, make sure they are also on this call that we schedule with you for tomorrow or for the next day. So this way we have all decision makers and you guys can decide together if it's a great fit. And so yeah, so for the next 48 hours. And just imagine, right, being able to surround yourself. They say that you are the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most. If you want to be successful in business, surround yourself with other people that are successful in business, right? If you want to have a 6-pack, guess what? Surround yourself with other people who eat right, work out, put in the work. And it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when you'll be successful. Couple other things. You don't need 50 to 100,000 to start. If you have it, great. But you don't need 50K to 100K to start your first property. You also don't need an excellent credit score. So don't think you need like a 750 or an 800 credit score to start. Absolutely not. You also don't need 10 to 20 hours a week. You can literally work on your Airbnb business once it's launched with 30 minutes a week, 100% from your phone. Okay. The other thing is that you don't need to be an expert. That's why I'm here. The truth is 99% of our students, when they join our coaching program, they're starting their very first Airbnb with no prior experience. So if you're just getting started and you're new to this business and this interest to this industry, this is exactly who it's for. Lastly, you don't need a real estate license. That's when you want to help people buy and sell. That's more of a JOB, totally fine, but you don't need a real estate license to become an Airbnb entrepreneur. All you need is a willingness to learn the real system and to apply it to get these results consistently. So again, you can get to 10K a month even if you don't have experience, even if you don't know anything about Airbnb. As I mentioned, even if you don't have a real estate license because you don't need it, even if you don't have excellent credit, even if you don't have 50 to 100K, whether you own or rent, even if you're scared to fail, I have your back. So the real question is, are you going to be someone who takes action or someone who sits on the sidelines doing nothing and waiting for the perfect time? We have active Airbnb business owners across the US. So it's not a matter of if you'll succeed, it's just a matter of when. Again, our guarantee when you apply right now and join is that we won't stop coaching you until you've at least doubled your investment that you make in the coaching. Okay. By the way, here's the free gift that I promised. Go ahead and scan it right now. I'll wait a few seconds here. Again, design an amazing Airbnb in 2022 with this checklist of items for each room. All right, I'm going to go over to the next one. So like I mentioned, just to recap, this is everything that you get, guys. The subleasing, co-hosting, purchasing, templates, contract scripts, presentations, the softwares, recordings of me speaking to landlords, everything that you need to be successful. Like I said, I've invested over $500,000 into coaches, mentors, coaching programs, and everything I've learned in those last 10 years and over $500,000 of investment, I put it all into the real system to give you a consistent and predictable way to learn how to get these, get to 10K a month without owning real estate in 90 days or less. So to recap, click on the link here in the comments, or if you're unable to, go to therealsystem.com/join. That's number one, and fill out that quick 2-minute application. Immediately after you do that, go to Instagram and direct message me the word YouTube so I know that you completed step 1. And number 3, have your enrollment Zoom call and start your 10K a month automated Airbnb business. The Zoom call, again, will be either tomorrow or Thursday. That's it. So make sure you clear your schedule. It is going to be a video call, and you're either going to be speaking to Edgar, Lupita, or Tony, they're basically the gatekeepers. They're students who started from zero and now have multiple 6-figure businesses. And now we've locked arms, and they're helping me transform and help more people and help me get to that 100,000 people goal of getting them to 10K a month. And they'll give you all the information over the coaching programs and see what's a good fit for you. But like I said, make sure you bring your spouse or business partner to that phone call. And if it's just you and you have no spouse and no business partner, you're doing this on your own, then perfect. We look forward to connecting with you and answering all your questions about getting started. One other thing, I do want to give away a free copy of my book, of this book right here. So all you need to do, okay, let me actually go to this slide right here. Actually, let me just turn this off for a quick second. All you need to do if you want to win a physical copy of my best-selling book on Amazon is go on Instagram and record a quick story right now. Just go on Instagram, pull out your phone, record a quick story, and tag me at the Jorge Contreras. And tomorrow, before the 24 hours are up of the story, I will select a lucky winner and ship you a physical copy of my book, Breaking Through. Okay, my journey from impossible to I'm possible. It is a bestseller. All right, now that we got that, again, as I mentioned, guys, Edgar, if you could send me a couple screenshots of the questions so I can answer some of those questions on here. Again, send me some screenshots of the questions and I can go ahead and answer some of those questions here. But as I mentioned, guys, step one, click on the comments here, comment section, wherever it is, and fill out the quick 2-minute application. Step two, DM me the word YouTube on Instagram. And 3, get ready to have your phone call tomorrow so we can help you get to 10K a month. So I'm checking my Instagram to see if some of these are coming in. And awesome, I do see that the comments are coming in on Instagram. Hello, Karina, I see you. Go Getter, I see you. Lester, Mallow, Nicole, Maddie, I see your YouTube comments on Instagram. Pedro, I see you guys. I see you guys coming in. Appreciate that. Okay. Let me pull up the screen one more time for those of you that haven't yet all of these 3 steps. And I'm going to answer a few of your questions right now. Again, step 1, fill out the quick 2-minute application. Step 2, DM me the word YouTube on Instagram. And 3, have your enrollment call tomorrow to start your 10K a month automated business. So let me answer some of these questions here from the chat. Thank you, Jorge. You're the reason I joined. Your story and sincerity shines through. I appreciate that. I'm interested, but I feel comfortable if I can speak with you directly. Yes, so you're going to speak to my team directly once you schedule the call. Let's see. How much does it cost? Like I mentioned, guys, we have a couple different options, which is why we do those personable one-on-one calls to make sure that 1, we want to make sure that you're a good fit. 2, to go over the options, and we'll go over those 3 options that we have tomorrow on the phone call. Let's see, another question here. Do I go ahead and fill out the application and then set up a call? So once you fill out the application and DM me the word YouTube on Instagram, my team and I will text you to the phone number provided in the application to schedule you and coordinate a call for tomorrow. And then she said, so after I do that, I will then find out how much the real system will cost. Correct. On the phone call, we will go over what the investment is and how all of that works. But a couple other things, guys, like I said, follow me on Instagram, right? Let me pull it up here. Follow me on my IG. And again, I post content every single day. And I also have a podcast. Let me pull it up here. With we have like almost 500 5-star reviews on the podcast. So highly encourage you guys to check that out. Let me just pull it up here. 1 second. Okay, I'm not able to find it, but if you just go to iTunes or Spotify and you put the Jorge Contreras, you'll be able to pull it up there. And yeah, check out the podcast. We launch episodes. Oh, here it is. We There's new episodes on the podcast every single Monday. On here on my YouTube channel, we launch new videos every single Monday and Wednesday. In the future, we'll even start launching a third one. And then again on Instagram, I post content every single day, stories, posts, reels. But look, guys, 90 5-star reviews. The Jorge Contreras Show for real estate investing, entrepreneurship, and getting to 10K a month with Airbnb. You know, this episode right here, I interviewed one of my students who went from 0 to 25K a month. His name's Arnulfo, and all these episodes. So awesome. Make sure you guys check that out. And other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much completes this YouTube training. Again, step 1, click the link in the comments and fill out the application. Step 2 is DM me the word YouTube on Instagram. And step 3 is have your 10K phone call, not a 10K phone call, but have the phone call so we can get you to 10K a month consistently. With that being said, everybody, send me a message on Instagram. I look forward to personally connecting with you guys there. Again, that will conclude the YouTube training. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Sending you guys all a virtual hug. Make sure you guys subscribe, turn on the notification, or hit the notification bell here on YouTube, and check out the videos. And I look forward to working with you and helping you build your 10K a month automated Airbnb business. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys